If you are married to Breezy, go ahead and make some noise. So, Tiffany Haddish is going viral again. This time spotted at Chris Brown's Breezy Ball concert in LA, and the way she showed up had everybody talking. She had that bold she energy, living it up like the night was hers. But the quiet shades started rolling in almost immediately. People weren't just watching her dance moves. They were digging into what she posted online right after. Because Tiffany didn't just leave it at having fun. She fired back with her own clap, connecting everything to this 2-year cycle she's been talking about. She even hinted at how famous men chase harder when she's celibate. That's not just tea, that's a whole spill. And I've got Tiffany's exact words. Plus, why this might be less about one wild concert moment and more about unresolved feelings she's been holding on to. Picture the scene. Chris Brown hyping up the crowd. If you're married, make some noise. And Tiffany wasn't sitting still. She was right there on camera, tongue out, dancing hard, reposting the radio reel of herself, like she knew she was the main attraction. But once the clip hit socials, the comments section lit up, calling her thirsty for Chris Brown and dragging her like never before. Hours later, the internet pulled up her old storyline with Ommon, and suddenly the dots started connecting. That's when Tiffany hit back with this thin smile-style message. It looked like support on the surface, but to some it read like straight shade. And here's where it gets messy, because her timing, the comments she responded to, I'm enjoying it. I'm not going to put nothing extra on it. If he want to marry me, he can get me an apartment building. Oh, okay, you don't want a ring, you want an apartment complex. I give me a duplex, a plex or something. You know, the homegirls be like, where ya, I thought you was engaged. Where you at? Where your carrots? Carrots, girl, please, I got units. Knock it off. And the way she's been bringing up Ommon lately, all stack into one explosive timeline. To make it even juicier, Tiffany Haddish actually pulled up to Chris Brown's show on September 13th during his second LA stop, and Riel 92. Three's cameras caught her on the big screen, dancing to bees and marijuana, making sure nobody missed her energy. Tiffany didn't just let that viral clip breathe. She doubled down. She reposted the footage and wrote that she'll always buy a front row ticket to see Breezy. She even reminded everyone of what she told Chris Brown 20 years ago, after their wild dance battle. If God allowed it, she'd be front row for life. That was her caption, and she swore it was straight facts, no cap. But here's the bigger picture. Breezy Ball wasn't just any show. This year's tour started in Europe back in June, then hit North America from late July into September, with Summer Walker and Bryson Tiller joining the US leg. By the time the LA shows came around, it was madness. 2 sold-out nights at SoFi, with fans going insane and cameras catching every second. And yes, the internet still can't forget when Kayla Nicole got that NSFW lap dance from Chris Brown on stage. That clip broke the internet and had everybody talking for days. But while that was viral chaos, the real messy question was, where does Ommon fit into all of this? See, he wasn't at Sophie, but he was very much in the mix thanks to something he said earlier, and how Tiffany clapped back once her Breezy Bowl moment dragged their old story back to life. Back in July 2024, Ommon Men went on The Breakfast Club and made it crystal clear that he was in a healthy, beautiful relationship with Jennifer Hudson, and he wasn't shy about it either. He hinted that marriage might even be on the table. That wasn't gossip. That was his own words on the record. You and Jenny Jen still kicking it. That's part 1. And part 2 is, do you ever see yourself married one day? So as far as Jenny Jen, I love abs. Absolutely. We are together, and I just appreciate her as a partner, as a woman, as a artist, as a human being. She's a special individual in our The Shade Room, wasted no time posting the pull quotes. And here's where Tiffany stirred the pot. She slid into the comments with one single word. Exactly. That little word set the whole comment section on fire. Was it well W wishes? Or was it a sly, jealous wink? Fans couldn't agree, but plenty read it as shade, and outlets like Atlanta Black Star clocked the reactions immediately. People were calling Tiffany weird, saying she needed to stop bringing up comment 3 years after their breakup. That exact sentiment came storming back once she trended off the breezy clip, proving the internet's memory is undefeated. But Tiffany hasn't only been leaving cryptic comments. She's been speaking directly about Common in interviews and at her book events for I Cursed You With Joy. She openly said the relationship was fun, but it was also during lockdown, and if the world had been open, she probably wouldn't have been tied down. That one line had fans whispering, "She's not over him," and Tiffany only fueled the chatter more by revealing that the only celebrity who ever chased her took 2 whole years of persistence before she gave in at the start of 2020, which lined up perfectly with how she and Common said they reconnected around 2019. Tiffany didn't just stop at playful captions. She went even deeper, breaking down what she called Common's cycle. According to her, it's always the same. 2 years single. We both have professions. Well, I think once Tiffany and I got back on the move, it really didn't allow for us to spend as much time and put as much energy into our relationship. I don't think the love really dispersed. I just think it was just like we weren't feeding the relationship. And as you said, neither one of us is going to stop. Like we then 2 years locked in, then back out again. She swore she wasn't mad, but the way she framed it felt more like a subtle expose than a casual observation. And this wasn't some random theory either. She actually said it during her interviews earlier this spring. It's every 2 years. That's his schedule. Tiffany claimed before stressing again, "I'm not mad at that, but come on." That's her basically clocking his pattern out loud. And while she was on her book rollout, she also revealed that she's been celibate, saying flat out that when she isn't giving it up, men chase harder, book trips, and act more in love. That detail matters, because fans instantly connected it back to her exes, suggesting she was hinting at Common, or others who seemed to circle back whenever she created distance. So now the big messy question, is this really just Tiffany being open? Or is there a flavor of jealousy baked into her timing? Because when she popped out front row at Chris Brown's concert, people immediately started projecting all of this right back onto Common. Do you honestly think Common is pressed about Tiffany? Would he really even be shading her? He hasn't said a word directly. Both care about our crafts and what we do. And we care about love too, and partnership. But I think, the energy that has been put into our careers and continuing to want to do the things that we do for ourselves and for the people. It's like it was hard for me to balance all of that and keep the relationship. But the perception of shade comes alive in the way Tiffany keeps pointing out his cycles and in how she reacts whenever his new relationships start trending big. And don't forget, the heat at Chris Brown's LA stop wasn't just about Tiffany. The internet went nuclear over Kayla Nicole's on-stage lap dance. That Take It Down performance had TMZ Page 6 and EN News blasting clips everywhere, making the feeds look like Thirst Central. So when Tiffany's Jumbotron moment hit in that exact same viral window, her IG stories came off extra thirsty to a whole lot of people watching. Fair or not, the timing made it look wild. Add Chris Brown's choice to perform Take You Down on stage with Kayla Nicole, and suddenly, the whole vibe turned into a perfect storm, where any woman having fun at that concert risked getting labelled as doing the most. So when Tiffany went viral for her dance moment at Breezy's show, the internet didn't just let it ride. People stitched it together with her old exactly, hopefully they get married, comment about Common, and J Hud painting Tiffany as thirsty for Chris Brown. while still throwing shade at her ex. That's projection at its finest. But that's exactly how online narratives are built. And Tiffany more than anyone knows how the game works. Because let's be real, she's been steering into this messy spotlight for months, constantly addressing the highs and lows of her past relationship, while also fighting through older controversies that never seem to die down. One of the biggest came back in 2022, when Tiffany said she deeply regretted ever participating in a sketch that ended up at the center of a civil lawsuit with Aries Spears. The backlash was brutal. The case sparked headlines everywhere, and Tiffany had to publicly apologize, calling the skit not funny at all. And that soundbite matters here, not because it ties directly to Chris Brown, but because the internet never forgets. Every single time Tiffany trends, people drag that moment back into the conversation. It feeds a constant loop of judgment, criticism, and she's doing too much chatter. So, even when she's just dancing at a concert, the backlash feels heavier, because that negative reservoir is always waiting to flood her mentions. Tiffany Haddish isn't just living through one viral moment. She's carrying the weight of every headline that's ever been attached to her name. And that's why the Breezy Bowl backlash hit her harder than most. It's not just about her dancing at a concert or clapping back with a slick caption. It's about how the internet has built a running file on her, ready to reopen the second she in the spotlight again. And trust, the receipts people are pulling now go back years. Because let's be real, Tiffany has lived through some of the messiest public storms a celebrity can face. From that lawsuit controversy with Aries Spears, to her split from Common, to rumors of her career being up and down in Hollywood. Every move she makes gets folded into a bigger storyline, and the Breezy Bowl turned into a case study in how old drama never really dies online. It just waits for the right trigger to come back alive. Think about it. The night was supposed to be about Chris Brown's tour, his collabs, his sold-out shows, and his wild stage antics. But once Tiffany was caught on that jumbotron dancing like nobody was watching, the conversation flipped instantly. Suddenly, it wasn't about Breezy anymore. It was about Tiffany's energy, Tiffany's past comments on Common, Tiffany's celibacy streak, Tiffany's book tour confessions. Fans weren't just watching a celebrity have fun. They were stitching it together like detectives, pulling up her entire romantic timeline like a case file. That's the pressure Tiffany lives under. She's never just a guest in the crowd. She becomes the story. And this isn't the first time Tiffany's energy at an event has made her the center of chaos. Remember when she made headlines for crashing Beyoncé and Jay-Z's after party years ago? The internet spun that moment into endless memes about Tiffany being too extra in social spaces. That reputation has followed her, and every time she shows up big, people immediately put her into that same category. The celebrity who always does a little too much. But here's the thing. Tiffany has been brutally honest about why she acts the way she does. She said it countless times. She came from a place of pain, struggle, and survival. She spent years as a foster kid, moving between homes, learning to get attention by being loud, funny, and unforgettable. That survival skill turned into a comedy career, but the internet rarely gives her grace for that. Instead, it weaponizes her past against her, twisting her energy into something desperate instead of celebratory. And Breezy Bold was the perfect example of how fast that switch can happen. Because the second the clip went viral, the memes weren't just about Tiffany dancing. They were about Tiffany being thirsty for Chris Brown, Tiffany shading Common, Tiffany not over her ex, Tiffany trying too hard. Meanwhile, Tiffany herself posted her own receipts, reminding everyone that she's been Breezy's fan for decades, that her front row seat wasn't random. It was her promise to herself and to him from years back. But even with those receipts, the narrative online refused to let go of the shade angle because negativity simply gets more clicks. And this connects to something deeper. Tiffany's career has been battling a perception problem for a while now. At her peak, she was Hollywood's breakout queen, winning awards, starring in major films, and becoming the life of every red carpet. But over the past few years, her career trajectory has had dips. And whenever that happens, the internet pounces. Any sign of vulnerability, a breakup, a lawsuit, a messy moment, and suddenly the narrative is that Tiffany is falling off or doing the most to stay relevant. That's the shadow that follows her, and it's part of why the breezy bowl moment blew up the way it did. Let's not forget, Tiffany herself admitted during her "I Cursed You With Joy" press run that she struggles with how people perceive her relationships. She flat out said her time with Common was fun, but also a product of lockdown, and that she probably would have been in the streets if the world had been open. That kind of raw honesty only fuels the gossip machine, because fans don't just hear her words. They turn them into subtext. Suddenly, every move she makes feels like a response to him, even if it isn't. And that's why the celibacy angle hits so hard. When Tiffany told audiences that she'd been celibate, and that men seemed to chase harder when she created that distance, people couldn't help but connect the dots back to Common, back to her history, back to every celebrity man she's ever been linked with. So, when she showed up at Chris Brown's show, tongues out dancing wild, then posted her caption about being front row for life, the internet painted it as a full circle moment of thirst, jealousy, and shade. But here's where things get really messy. Tiffany's critics don't separate her current actions from her past controversies. The Aries Spears lawsuit is a perfect example. Even though Tiffany apologized, said she regretted ever being part of it, and the case was resolved, people bring it back every single time she trends. That's why this breezy bowl clip didn't just spark memes about Chris Brown or Common. It reopened the whole vault of Tiffany's past mistakes. Suddenly, the narrative wasn't just she's dancing too hard. It was, look at her judgment, look at her history. She's always messy. And Tiffany knows this. She said repeatedly that she regrets giving people so much access to her personal life. Because once the internet has the ammo, they'll use it forever. But Tiffany also refuses to shrink herself. She keeps showing up, keeps being loud, keeps being bold. And that's why she's such a polarizing figure. People either love her energy or drag her for it. But nobody ignores her. The breezy bowl moment will probably fade like all viral clips do. But the pattern it revealed won't. Tiffany Haddish can't just exist in the public eye without the internet creating a larger narrative around her. Whether it's her comments about Common, her honesty about celibacy, her apology for past mistakes, or her wild energy at concerts, everything folds into a bigger story that paints her as too much. And the truth is, Tiffany knows it, and she plays into it anyway, because silence has never been her style. At the end of the day, Tiffany Haddish is a survivor who turned pain into comedy. But she's also a celebrity who can't escape the internet's long memory. Breezy Bowl wasn't just a concert for her. It was another chapter in the ongoing saga of how she's perceived, how her past shadows her present, and how every viral moment either lifts her up or tries to tear her down. And like it or not, that's what keeps her name trending. Not just her jokes, not just her roles, but the messiness that surrounds her every time she dares to step into the spotlight. So let's break this down. The audience is already primed to be skeptical, and Tiffany decides to lean into Breezy's night out. The question is, who actually benefits when the internet calls it thirst? That's where Common quietly slides into the picture. Because when you strip away the noise and separate fact from fan fiction, the receipts tell their own story. Fact number 1. Common went on air praising his relationship with Jennifer Hudson, calling it healthy and beautiful, even hinting at marriage. That wasn't rumor. That was his own words on record. And Tiffany couldn't resist chiming in. She commented, "Exactly. Hope they actually get married." It was public. It was direct. And it set the internet on fire. Fact number 2. Tiffany later spelled out what she saw as Common's dating pattern. A neat little 2-year cycle. She even said her own relationship with him only happened because of lockdown. Again, public again on the record. Then fact number 3. Tiffany turned up at Chris Brown's concert and the cameras caught her going full Jumbotron mode. Tongue out, body rolling, living her best life in the front row. Meanwhile, the internet was already roasting anyone who looked like they were thirsting after Breezy. Especially in the wake of Kayla Nicole's viral lap dance. Put those pieces together, and suddenly Tiffany looked like the main character of Thirstville, whether she wanted that label or not. Now here's where the whispers kick in. Fans started reading Common silence as shade. He didn't address Tiffany at all, but when you compare his glowing words about J Hud with Tiffany's own timeline, the contrast feels brutal. Healthy, beautiful, marriage ready, versus lockdown, only fun. That's not a direct disc. But in the court of public opinion, silence can be the sharpest weapon. And honestly, Common doesn't even need to clap back. The best shade is letting the public make the comparison themselves. Hearing him gush about J Hud while Tiffany is out here, pointing at his 2-year cycle and dancing wild at Breezy's. Show by one look at how he speaks about his current. Queen versus how he spoke about Tiffany. And the story writes itself. But Tiffany didn't leave things coded. She leaned straight in. She made sure everyone knew she wasn't pining. Flipping the script by reminding people that men chase her during her "I cursed you with joy" promo. She stressed that 6 months of sobriety and celibacy completely changed how men approached her. They chased harder. They invested more. They acted more in love. In Tiffany's words, she wasn't out here begging. She was the prize. Here's the real kicker. Tiffany might be shouting that she's the prize, but Jennifer Hudson doesn't even need to raise her voice. That's the ultimate flex. Tiffany is out here wild on the Jumbotron, clapping back in captions, dropping cryptic comments, and spilling tea in interviews, while J Hud stays cool, private, and unbothered. That contrast makes Tiffany's every move look even louder, even thirstier, whether she meant it that way or not. Because let's be honest, Jennifer doesn't have to post about exes, talk about cycles, or defend herself online. She lets her man do the talking, and Common's words have been nothing but glowing. Every time he calls their relationship healthy and beautiful, fans instantly flip that into shade at Tiffany. He doesn't even need to mention her name. The comparisons write themselves, and the internet eats it up. And that's where Tiffany keeps losing the narrative. She's the one on camera dancing tongue out, while J Hud is nowhere to be seen. Cool, collected, confident in her lane. She's the one explaining lockdown relationships and celibacy streaks, while Jennifer quietly builds her brand, her music, her empire. To fans, that silence feels powerful. To critics, Tiffany's honesty reads like chaos. And that's how perception becomes its own weapon. Common doesn't have to clap back at Tiffany. His silence already stings. The more he praises J Hud, the harsher the contrast feels. Healthy, beautiful, marriage ready versus lockdown, only fun. One is painted as wife material. The other is the ex who won't stop talking. Fair or not, that's the court of public opinion. And Tiffany ends up looking like she's still playing catch-up, while J Hud's already won the game. But Tiffany isn't wired to stay quiet. She thrives on being bold, raw, and unfiltered. It's the same energy that made her a star, but also the same thing that makes her such an easy target for shade. And now, every time she moves, the internet holds her up against J Hud's calm aura. A comparison Tiffany can't win, no matter how hard she tries to flip the script. "I've never been in a relationship like this." That line from Tiffany gets clipped and replayed as proof she's actually the one in demand, especially with famous men. To To her, it undercuts any storyline that she's the one thirsting after anybody, Chris Brown included. But layer that over the Sophie footage, her front row, dancing, tongue out, posting like thousands of other fans around her. And the internet still twists it. No DM leaks, no secret flirt, just a concert. Yet, the thirst label sticks, showing more about how people police women's joy than about Tiffany herself. And believe me, she knows that. But the reason Tiffany, Common, J Hud always ends up trending is because the triangle has history, and Tiffany herself spelled it out. She's joked about not sleeping with celebs anymore, only to laugh and say, "Okay, I'm lying." But her serious point has stayed consistent. Whatever she and Common had, it wasn't forever. And if you look at the timeline, she's not wrong. Common tends to do long relationships with high-profile women, and then he moves on. Tiffany putting words to that cycle is her way of exposing the pattern without ever calling him out by name. Now mix that with breezy bowl madness. Media outlets framed Chris Brown's LA stop around Kayla Nicole's sultry lap dance moment, while Tiffany's Jumbotron cameo fell into the same viral window. If you're a celeb like Tiffany in that crowd, any move, a dance, a tongue-out face, a repost will get exaggerated. Meanwhile, Common doesn't even need to tweet. His healthy, beautiful, marriage-ready speech about J Hud stands tall next to Tiffany, calling their past lockdown fun. That contrast alone reads as shade, whether he meant it that way or not. And here's the kicker. While Tiffany was trending, Chris Brown's ex Karu was also pulled into the mix. Paparazzi caught her reacting to the Kayla Nicole lap dance discourse. And though it had nothing to do with Tiffany, it shows how supercharged this entire breezy moment was. The whole atmosphere was primed for messy reads, and Tiffany got swept right into the eye of that storm. Multiple outlets confirmed both LA nights were sold out. Every celeb caught on camera was going to cycle through fan cams and gossip blogs. Tiffany just happened to have the perfect caption about supporting Breezy for 20 years. And once the body rolls and tongue came out, the blogs had their hook. From there, it was inevitable. Her old quotes about Common got pulled back into the timeline, now mashed together with breezy clips, creating a fresh round of thirst chatter in 2025. That's how trending works. One viral clip revives old controversies like fuel on a fire. But here's the plain truth. Tiffany danced at SoFi, reposted the clip, and reminded the world she's been a forever front row fan of Chris Brown. Those were her words, her receipts, and her reality. That's not a thirst trap. That's a turn up. The shade people feel from Common is mostly about contrast. He's on record praising J Hud as marriage material, while Tiffany frames their time together as fun but temporary with a pattern attached. Nobody had to throw insults. The comparison made itself. And Tiffany, she's standing tall on her thesis. She believes men chase harder when she steps back. She insists famous men pursue her, and she frames herself as the prize, not the beggar. That's her narrative, and she's owning it. But here's what I'm watching next. If Common Man ever mentions Tiffany again, even indirectly, it'll reignite the whole cycle. And if Tiffany keeps leaning into that 2-year pattern talking point, it might be her sharpest and subtlest way of exposing him without saying his name outright. Then there's Breezy's tour itself. Because Kayla Nicole's viral moment proved one sultry performance can hijack an entire timeline. If Chris Brown serves up more viral stunts, Tiffany's clip will keep getting dragged back up no matter what she does. Now let's flip it to you. Was Tiffany just vibing at a concert, like a true fan? Or was she trying to snatch a little spotlight during Breezy's wildest viral weekend? And what about Common? Do you think his marriage-ready talk about J Hud was low-key shade toward Tiffany? Or are people just reaching? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this breakdown. Like, subscribe, and share this breakdown.